or just join us partway through. So, before we get going on today's lesson, I just wanted to introduce you to a challenge I thought I would set to you guys. We'll see how it goes. If it's not very successful, we'll abandon it. But I think it could be fun. But the first thing I want to stress is, whilst it is a race, it's not something I view as being something that you guys will be able to do in a few days. It's sort of a long-term project, really, okay? So I'm calling it the Hegarty First to 50 Challenge, and it's an extension activity. So it must not take priority over the normal Hegarty work that I set you each lesson as a homework. It's just, if you feel that you want to be doing more maths, and really you're getting the maths that I set done quite quickly and you'd like to a bit more, this is just an opportunity for you to do a bit more. And you know, as a bit of fun, we'll have a bit of a competition going on. So the idea is, who in our first form class can be the first people to get 50 quizzes where they've got 100% in them? Okay, now that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. So as I said, I don't expect this to be something that you guys suddenly rush at doing and spend all hours and all night and all that sort of stuff doing. But you know, you just do a bit now and again, you never know. So what is in it for you? This will be the prize for the first person. Now I know that looks like it's one of those really cheap plasticky ones you sort of get in party bags, and it does, I agree, it kind of looks like that on the front, but it isn't. This is a proper one that I found on Amazon. It's metal. Okay, there's a question and answer. So it's properly metal, and I will be able to, I think it's 45 characters. I can do an engraving on the back of it. So that will be engraved by the shop before it goes. And then what I will do, I would just, assuming we're still in lockdown, I would just post it straight to you via Amazon. Okay, so it would just go straight to you at your home. So that's the prize. Okay, so I will, as you know, I keep my mark book over in Teams, but Hegarty also has a mark book, an automatically generated mark book, and this is just an extract from it. So, I mean, I've hidden the names of you guys, okay, but you can see that it automatically generates the marks on Hegarty. So I would just have to be counting up to see who's the first person to get 50 of these. So how are we going to control this? Well, what I've done, I have gone in, it should be there already, I think. When you go and look in your teams, you will see that you've now got a first to 50 tag. Okay, so it's a new one that I've introduced. And when you click on that, and then you click on the first to 50 page, you will have something looking like this. Now, this is one of 2 or 3 of you who've got the perfect record so far, that you've got 100% in every single of the Hegarty quizzes I've set. So there's 50 slots on this sheet. Okay, it goes up to 50. And every time you get 100%, I'm going to write down on here, or you can write on here, which quiz it was you got 100% in. So just so we're clear, that's not saying that this person got 85%. That's saying that quiz number 85 is a quiz that they got 100% in. So is quiz number 88. So is quiz number 339, and so on. Now, just because for reasons I'll come on to in a bit, what I think we'll do, the ones that when you get 100% in a quiz that I've set as a compulsory homework, we'll write those on this sheet in red. So any that you decide to do on your own, you just go and write in your marks in blue, for example, of the ones that you've chosen to do. So just if you get 100% in a quiz, you just go and write the quiz number in here. So say you went and did quiz number 63, you got 100%, just go and write 63 in blue. Now, obviously I trust you all, but there's a medal at stake, so I will be checking. So, you know, there's no point making some of these up, because as you could see, I will just go and look at this sheet here and I can see whether it's true or not. So that is filed away under first to 50, then it's got a page, and then it's got this control schedule. So over the weekend, I've gone through each of you guys, and you know, lots of you haven't got 100% yet, and that's fine. You know, if you've got a good mark, it doesn't have to be 100%, so you might have this sheet blank. Some of you might have 1 or 200%, so you've got 1 or 2 numbers here, okay? But 2 or 3 of you have got a completely perfect record. Okay, and then in my mark book, I've gone and set up something with a total of 50. So these 2 students here, okay, I can see that they've got 100, 100, 100, and 100. They've got 500s. The other one didn't quite fit on the page. So they've got 500s in total. So I'm going to be out. So this is like the race to 50. So I can see in my mark book, I can keep an eye on how you guys are getting on. Now, the small print, okay? I need to be sure that this is sort of useful stuff, okay? So the first thing to take on board, please don't waste your time doing the first 50 quizzes. So quizzes number 1 to 50. They're too easy peasy. It's like, what's 5 add 5, okay? So if you want to do those, that's fine, but it doesn't count towards this challenge. I thought about 51 is where they start being the sort of standard I would expect of first form. So please don't, if you're dotting around looking to do some quizzes, don't bother with the first 50. Now, because I still want it to be important how you're doing with your compulsory work, when you get to 50, at least 10 of them, so it could be just 10, but at least 10 of them have to be in red. They have to be ones that I've set as homework, okay? So so this will be a long time in the future, I think, before anyone gets near 50. But when we get there, you have to just make sure, go back and look at your homeworks and check that at least 10 of them were ones that I've set as part of our scheme of work, okay? And there's nothing stopping you going back at any point and improving your mark. I'm not saying you've got to get 100% on your first go. It could be on your 50th go. I don't mind, okay? Now, I'm wary. I don't want anybody just rushing around, just really quickly doing the class, you know, the compulsory homeworks, not doing that very well because they want to get on to doing this challenge. So you must, all right, you're not going to be allowed to win if you've got less than 50% in any of the ones I've set in class, okay? Even if you've got 50, 100%, if any of your compulsory homework scores are less than 50, it doesn't count. So you must make sure at the very least you're getting 50% in the ones I'm setting each lesson. Now, this bit in red is really important. I also don't want you just dotting around, starting one, think, oh, no, this one's a bit difficult, I'll leave it, and you're leaving it at 5%, and then you move on to the next one and start having a go, and, oh, no, this is too difficult, 0%, I'll move on. That's not the idea. I want you to be a bit more careful, okay? So only start a quiz when you're pretty confident it's a topic you know how to do, all right? Any quizzes that you start, you must get at least 50% in, okay? So just be careful. You don't want to suddenly start something and then find out that it's something you can't do, because you're stuck then, because you know, anything on your mark book less than 50, okay, so you'll be null and void for the competition. So it's fine if you only get to 50%. Obviously, it won't count as one of the 100, but that's fine. You can then go another one. So just please don't dot around. Be careful with the ones that you have a go at, okay? So it is a race, but you've got to be very careful that I feel that the person who wins this is going to be somebody slow and steady who wins the race. So that's just something that some of you might be interested in. If you think you're not, that's absolutely fine. But I just thought I like to set extension work for all my classes. So if you get the compulsory work done quickly, you've got the options. It's totally voluntary. But I just thought if there's this competition going on in the background, it might just be a bit of fun. So moving on to today's lesson. So we've now had the 2 lessons on reflections, and well done. I think that second lesson, I think a lot of you really got to grips with it after that second lesson on it. So we're now going to move on to rotations. Okay, so we're going to go through rotations, and this is then going to lead to your homework being Hegarty number 648. Now, Mr. Hegarty's got much better software than I've got. So whilst I would normally talk you through myself, and then you can then look at Mr. Hegarty's video as an extra if you want to, I think on this occasion, I really want you to go and watch Mr. Hegarty's video for 648, because he's got all this fancy stuff that can swivel around and pretend to be tracing paper and all of that. Okay, so so I'm going to stop this video quite soon, and I want you just to go and watch the video before you have a go at the exercise. Now, a couple of things. He explains how, and it's quite a good idea. You'll see that he talks about lining the tracing paper up and stuff with a line, and as you turn, blah blah. That's all good stuff. But my tip to you would be, when you've got your tracing paper, and he'll explain how to do all of that, draw an arrow pointing upwards. Okay, because then as you start rotating around, say you're rotating 180 degrees. That takes you as a half a turn. You'll know that you've got to the right place because your arrow will be pointing downwards. Okay. If you're, say, rotating 90 degrees clockwise, your arrow will be pointing to the right, and so on. So that's something that Mr. Hegarty doesn't mention, but I think that's a nice little touch. Final point I wanted to say, it's another one of these where your final answer you're going to be giving by way of writing down the coordinates. So just be ever so careful to write down your coordinates. Okay. Now, if you remember, you will need tracing paper for this lesson. So if you don't have any tracing paper at home, you'll find that thin paper will work just as well. It would just be a little bit more tricky. Okay. I think that's everything. I will keep an eye on how your marks are going. If you're finding it a struggle, don't worry. I'm quite relaxed with the idea that we could have another lesson on this if not many of you are doing very well, just like we did with the reflections. Okay, we've got plenty of time in hand. Also, the next lesson, even if you guys will do quite well on this, is just taking this a step further. So we'll be practicing more of these rotations next lesson, even if we don't duplicate this lesson. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover, guys. I'll just hang on for a few seconds just to take any questions that you may have. But that's basically it. So we've got that first to 50 challenge going on in the background. But obviously the key bit, the main thing, is for you to have a good go at doing quiz number 648. But obviously you must go and watch that video carefully. Don't just start trying to do it without watching the video. You must go and watch the video. Okay, guys, anyone got any questions?
Sir?
Yeah.
For the first to 50,
yeah,
on the one we redid, if we got 100 the second time, will that be counted or not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you get 100% on your 10th time, doesn't bother me. It just shows that you've been resilient and you've kept on going. So absolutely fine. There's no, it can be the first time, second term, third. In fact, you know, if say some of you have got some 80s and 90s already, and you really want to have a go at this first to 50, I suggest you go back and try and turn those into hundreds, because you know that it's something you're good at. So so absolutely, it does not have to be on your first go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else got any queries?
Sir?
Yeah.
For the first 50, do we need to write them all in our Hegarty maths book?
Really good question. Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't, Dan. I mean, I expect you're very welcome to, because the way I see it, if you're smart, you're really going to be focusing on stuff that you've done in the past. So it will all be really good revision. So I would recommend that you do, but you certainly don't have to. And you certainly, I'm not expecting anybody to be trying to upload them for me to see. Okay. I think some of you are kindly uploading your workings at the moment. Let's just keep the uploading to being the ones that the compulsory ones that I do each lesson. Okay. So it's a good. I mean, I think personally, Dan, I probably would, because you're going to have to be doing these workings somewhere. So why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got any queries? Okay, guys, I will leave you to it. So just go and watch that video. and watch that carefully. Go and try and find some tracing paper, and then just start working through that Hegarty quiz. Okay, cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.